one unforgettable experience at a time. Now's the time to love New South Wales.
We are Sydney FC. We are passionate originals, standing proud in sky blue. We are glorious goals.
Ninkovic with composure!
And stunning saves.
And a great save by Andrew Redmayne.
We are superstars.
Unbelievable.
Del Piero delivers!
And local heroes. We are winners.
Squares it up, the shot! Sydney draw first blood in the grand final.
Humble in victory. We are family. We are Bay 23. We are supporting our community and investing in their future. We are unwavering.
The FFA have officially taken the decision to postpone the A-League season.
And now share a deeper bond. We are Sky Blue. We are Sydney. The famous Sydney FC.
Italiano on the right, he slips it through for D'Agostino, and out of nothing, Australia are all square. Their best chance, virtually their only chance of the first half, and Nick D'Agostino tucks it away. Nicely created by Piscopo, and Australia are level at 1-1. Piscopo. Little scoot forward, nice, beautiful by Piscopo. Goes back, chance here, 2-1 Australia. Nick D'Agostino again. And that was superbly worked by the Olyroos. Lovely little scoop over the top by Piscopo. Gersbach put it in the box, and D'Agostino did the rest. A brace for him, and Australia hit the front for the first time. Bacchus first to the loose ball. Now there could be a bit of space appearing. Piscopo threads it through beautifully. It's Rami Najarine, and Australia have the advantage with their first effort on goal, and Rami Najarine called up in place of Jacob Italiano today. Slots it home with the left foot, and again Piscopo involved. Australia a goal to the good.
Looks to be a front three. Now Neill looking for Alessandro, who's through on goal. Oh, what a finish that is! And is that the goal to send the Olyroos through to the semi-final? Alessandro, he did it in the FFA Cup. Has he done it right here for his nation?
From the coaching staff at halftime, lovely pass allowing D'Agostino to face forward and wriggle his way through. Nick D'Agostino with a massive goal for Australia. His third of the tournament, and it is a priceless one. The Perth Glory youngster, 21 years of age, puts Australia in front and on course for Tokyo 2020. What a finish.
And a very good evening to you from Jubilee Stadium here in Sydney. Great to have football back. Great to have your company as well. My name is Simon Hill, and tonight we're bringing you live coverage of the Olyroos' continuing road to Tokyo with this friendly against Sydney FC, who of course have their own reasons for wanting to hit out their AFC Champions League campaign, about to resume in Doha after a long layoff. They fly off to Qatar on Saturday, and the bread and butter business of the A-League is now looming on the horizon at the end of next month. So plenty to get our teeth into this evening, alongside FFA Technical Director Trevor Morgan, who we'll hear from in just a moment. First of all, though, let's take a check on tonight's team news. Here's the under-23 side for Australia. This Olyroos 11 includes 5 survivors from the last match against Uzbekistan 10 months ago, which sealed their spot in Tokyo, of course. Glover, Mordakutis, Bacchus, Nazarene and Bauman are the quintets. Lockie Wales, Brandon Wilson and Nathaniel Atkinson return after their suspensions. And Joel King makes his national team debut against his current club side. Nick D'Agostino wasn't considered due to illness and the need for him to recover for Perth Glory's Champions League campaign. And in total, 6 of the Olyroos squad will leave camp to be involved in that particular competition. Now, Sydney FC's 11 contains 6 of their grand final winning side. Andrew Redmayne is missing and, of course, won't be involved in the Champions League. So Tom Hewitt-Bell, who's been training with the Olyroos, will play in goal. Patrick Flotman plays alongside Alex Wilkinson, with Ryan McGowan joining up with the team in Qatar from his current base in Scotland. Adam Lafondra, of course, has gone to India to join Mumbai City. So Trent Bahaja is up top alongside Costa Barbarouses. And Bahaja scored both in a recent 2-1 friendly win over MacArthur. It is a lovely, pleasant evening in the south of Sydney. Temperatures have been hovering near 30 degrees during the day today. A bit cooler tonight, and a crowd of around 3,500 allowed in tonight. I don't think it's quite going to hit that figure, but a few curious locals have come out to see either their national team or their club side or both ahead of these big tournaments that are looming on the horizon for both. As I said, Trevor Morgan is alongside tonight, FFA Technical Director. Great to have your company, Trevor. What are we looking forward to from tonight's game? And in particular, what are the two coaches, Graham Arnold at the Olyroos and Steve Corica of Sydney FC, looking for?
Yeah, I guess they're both, and thanks Simon for welcoming me. I think they're both looking forward to football. Arnie's been a long time off the grass due to the COVID break. Steve's had a fantastic season yet again. Probably first time they've coached against each other. So I'm sure there'll be the competitive juices flowing. But obviously just looking to prepare teams and start to see players, Sydney are heading to a massive tournament. The Olyroos have got a lot coming up, and every match counts as far as Arnie's concerned.
Rather unfamiliar team strips for the two teams. Sydney FC wearing their new away kit, which looks rather smart. White jerseys and royal blue shorts. Similar shorts for the Olyroos, but they're wearing the green tops. And there is Tom Glover just shepherding his teammates in for the pre-game photo. And at the other end is a young man who's going to challenge him for that position with the national team, Tom Hewitt-Bell, but pressed into service for his club side tonight because, of course, Andrew Redmayne is not going to be involved in the Champions League due to the imminent arrival of his child with his wife. And our best wishes go to the Redmayne family. You mentioned the two coaches. Steve Corica, of course, only the second A-League coach to go back-to-back in terms of A-League titles. 3 trophies in his first 2 seasons. That puts him just 1 behind Graham Arnold, who won 4. Arnie about to lead a men's team to an Olympic Games next July for the first time in 12 years. The last coming in Beijing 2008. And, of course, the coach then was, Graham Arnold. But he said he wants this team to win a medal. We might just get a clue or two tonight as to whether they may be up to that task. Last minute preparations. There is a bit of a breeze blowing across Jubilee Stadium here in Cogra. Our referee tonight, incidentally, is Tim Danaskos, a health and well-being advisor by day, and who made his A-League debut in the middle as recently as August. Surface looks pretty good and all set for this intriguing friendly here in Sydney tonight. So we're live across the FFA's social channels this evening and on KO as well. Hope you're enjoying the return of football ahead of the new A-League season and the Champions League, and of course the Tokyo Olympics, which very much the forefront of these Olyroos minds as they get the ball rolling. 2.5 months since Sydney FC lifted the A-League title and 10 months since the Olyroos qualified for Tokyo, and out it goes off the left peg of Joel King. Going to be a bit of a strange one for him tonight, playing against his club teammates. I'm sure he's done it plenty of times in training, Trevor, but a competitive game, albeit a friendly, is something a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely an opportunity to impress a national team coach at the same time as he's head coach of his club.
This is Ryan Grant, very much the Sydney FC hero, of course, back in August. Scorer of that winning goal off the chest. Back it goes to Tom Glover in goal for the Olyroos. Put under a bit of pressure by the pace of Trent Bahagia, which might be a test tonight for the central duo of Kai Rolls and Tasmor Kutas of the Wanderers and the Mariners respectively, and that's a foul on Michael Zullo by Rami Najarine, who's going to play the new A-League campaign on loan for the Newcastle Jets from Melbourne City. Who of course scored a goal at the qualifying tournament in Thailand against Bahrain, which earned Australia a 1-1 draw. Flag is up and the ball has gone out of play. The Olyroos don't know it yet, but they do now. It's going to be a throw. A bit of a nervy early clearance, Trevor, for Tom Heward-Bell. Not used to starting in place of Andrew Redmayne. Big responsibility on his shoulders tonight. Not only trying to impress Graham Arnold, the Olyroos coach, ahead of Tokyo, but also his club coach as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think every bit of experience is going to count for these players in their careers going forward, and even though this is a friendly match, it is important, and Tommy will use that and help him become a better player.
That's nice, intricate passing by Australia under-23s, but it's not a great delivery for Rami Najarine, who was screaming for the ball in the centre. Delivery from Lockie Wales, not the best. This is Michael Zullo, missed a big chunk of last season through injury. Tom Glover came out a long way, wary of that running behind from Trent Bahagia, but it was well anticipated. Luke Bratton just dropping between the two central defenders to set up the play, as he is wont to do for Sydney FC. Overcooked somewhat though by Michael Zullo. Easy gather for Glover. Now, how do you rate this current batch of Olyroos, Trevor? I mean, Arnie's been quite bullish in his belief that his team can challenge for a medal. Are you of that view as well?
Yeah, I believe, I mean, the Australian talent is always going to be good enough if given enough opportunity to improve. There's a lot of boys here that are starting to rack up numbers of matches. Someone like Nathaniel Atkinson, who's had 57 A-League appearances now. That's starting to become a proper professional career and ready to compete at the highest level on the world stage.
Still a bit to do though in terms of reorganising, rejigging the pyramid so those younger players can get more game times. It's been a real theme in recent weeks, hasn't it, in terms of the media discussion?
Yeah, definitely. Task at hand. I think everyone's aware of the opportunities that were highlighted by the COVID break and many young players getting an opportunity to play more A-League time. And I think the fans will look forward to seeing young players developed in their club getting that opportunity.
Little mistake by Kai Rolls. Sydney could be in behind it. It's Costa Barbarouses. Wouldn't quite sit for him first time around, and that allowed Tasmor Kutas to get back goal side and make the intervention at the expense of a corner. Those little mistakes can be so costly.
Yeah, it's I guess getting used to the tempo of the match, but it was a great little creative pass over the top that created that situation.
So it gives Sydney FC their first corner. Their first game at the Champions League. Not too far away. 19th of November against Shanghai SIPG over in Doha. So they resume their group stage campaign. The outswinger from Bratton. Mordakutis was underneath it. It drops here for Ninkovic, and then Retre jabs it into the back of the net, and it's taken Sydney FC less than 5 minutes to open the scoring, and it's Paulo Retre. Well, Retre left alone at that back post after the goalmouth scramble, and I doubt Graham Arnold will be too impressed with the defending of his young charges here, Trevor. Mordakutis was underneath.
Yeah, I think there was an opportunity to clear the ball, and
then Retre
to do that, and then
jabs it into the back of the net. And it's likes this ground, does Paulo Retre. Scored his only A-League goals here last season, a double against Adelaide United back in January. And there could be more on the cards here. A little bit of uncertainty, and they're going to have to be careful here, the Olyroos. Eventually it's swept away by Brandon Wilson, but almost the authors of their own misfortune again. And just 11 of this squad, Trevor, were part of the qualifiers in Thailand, so I guess cohesion was always going to be a little bit of an issue. Well, they have been in camp for, what is it, 5 or 6 days already?
Yeah,
maybe longer?
No, only a few days. I think they assembled on Monday. All national team duty is fairly short preparation time, and a lot of turnover of players is something that Arnie and national team staff are used to, trying to align people quickly. I'm sure within a few minutes they'll adapt and they'll start to get their rhythm.
Keanu Bacchus steadying things down, but heavy touch by Denny Jonro, who's going to be playing his football in this city, of course, this season with the A-League new boys, MacArthur FC, Daniel Baumann, freshly signed for the Mariners, and he's managed to squeeze that one through, but a touch too much weight on it for Lockie Wales. Maybe that, along with the breeze, just took the ball away from him. Lockie Wales, another one, he'll be lining up for a new club next season, Western United, after leaving Melbourne City. Barbarouses bamboozling Brandon Wilson. Sydney quickly into their stride here. Zulo. Touch back from Ninkovic. Here's the goal scorer, Retre. And square by Wilkinson for Patrick Flotman, who's only made the one start in Sydney FC colours in the A-League. So getting a rare chance to impress. Here he is on the ball in the absence of Ryan McGowan. Zulo. Ninkovic with Wilson at his back, and Bacchus too, but somehow beautifully found the gap. Still an exquisite player to watch, isn't he? Bahagia having to check the run to steer it back into the path of Zulo. And Sydney will build again through Retre here. He's 35 now, Trevor, Milos Ninkovic, but the touch is the last thing you lose, isn't it? Might lose a yard of pace. I'm not sure he ever had a huge amount of pace, Milos Ninkovic, but what a player. Yeah,
I think fine wine, getting better with age. And the stories that some of these Olyroos tell you, the ones that have trained with him, ones like Cameron Devlin, who's on the bench tonight, talking about how much Ninko helped develop them in and around training, giving them advice, spending time with them, telling them important things. So he's giving something back to the game all the time with the young players at Sydney FC.
Down the line by Joel King. There is a flag up for offside against Lockie Wales, I think, on that far touchline. Back Sydney go for Heward Bell, who again hasn't looked too certain with his feet in these early stages. There is that swirling breeze blowing towards that end of the ground. A little bit of pressure was enough to force the error. And the Olyroos will have the throw, which Nathaniel Atkinson will take. And off Ninkovic for another one. Nathaniel Atkinson, of course, we thought we were going to see lining up in Perth Glory colours this year, but COVID has pretty much done for that, and he's back with Melbourne City for another campaign. Here's Daniel Baumann, freshly signed for the Mariners. Baumann sizing up the opportunity. It might have just taken a touch off Wilkinson, which perhaps took a little bit of the sting out of it. Routine in the end for Heward Bell. And again, Heward Bell not accurate enough with the release.
It'd be good to get some nerves out tonight and settle down soon, and knowing the ACL's not far away.
Well, better here than in Doha.
I'd think so.
Especially when you're going to be up against the likes of Aaron Moy and Hulk. Shanghai SIPG in that first game, 19th of November. Incidentally, Shanghai SIPG played Asian Champions League, qualified domestically last night. Reduced season over in China. And they trailed the first leg to Beijing and could only get a draw in the second leg. So they have not qualified for next year's Champions League, unlike Sydney FC. Unless, of course, they go on and win this year's tournament.
Of course. And I think that's obviously, you know, an objective for all of us here, is that this friendly match is to help both. And in particular, you know, FFA itself will do anything it can to see the A-League club successful in the Champions League.
Yeah, we certainly need that, don't we? Nobody's got through the group stage since 2016. Here's Keanu Bacchus. First real sight of goal for the Olyroos. He was off balance. Ball just got away from him a little bit, the Western Sydney Wanderer. Olyroos looking to press high, put Sydney FC under a bit of pressure. Are they good enough to get out? Baum Johan? The answer is they are. Alex Wilkinson, a Sydney FC captain, back to his goalkeeper, about to start his 19th season in professional football. And the winner of 5 national titles overall, 3 here in Australia and 2 with John Book Motors in the K-League. Another one of the teams that Sydney will face in their Champions League group in Doha. Launched forward by Flopman. Easy win in the air by Joel King. Denny Jonro having a stretch. He did ever so well to bring that ball down, but again, just not quite accurate enough with the passing. A little bit of rustiness, lack of game time for all the players at the moment. Just those little 1%ers, Trevor, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, once again, we're probably 15 minutes in, and players are looking to get that rhythm, get used to the surface, and you know, start to get those connections, particularly the Olyroos, who haven't had that much time together.
Graham Arnold rightly points out they've got only 4 international windows to seal their spot on the plane to Tokyo. And there you go, there's another example of it, that rustiness, even Milos Ninkovic affected.
I think that points to how vital it was, the job that was done to complete the A-League season. And obviously to try and start this next season as we have, you know, to give players regular game time, to give the fans something to come and watch, but definitely to help people prepare for opportunities at the next level.
Which was all part of that performance gap report that was recently released by the FFA as well.
Yeah, excellent piece of research that was initiated by Graham, and it's supported by other reports done in recent years by the PFA, similar findings about the fact that we need to provide more opportunities for our young players to become, you know, seasoned pros. And there's excellent coaching going on in Australia, and you know, there's some talented players. They just need more opportunities to play and to make better decisions in real matches that matter.
We'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's see how this develops as Ninkovic finds Michael Zullo. Touchback by Barbarousis. Rattray. Sydney FC getting the little triangles working. First time ball by Bratton. Looks promising. Ryan Grant's on the right. Bahaja! That is a beautifully worked goal. And Trent Bahaja continues his red-hot pre-season form. But that was a joy to watch in its construction. It was Ryan Grant's cross in the end. And Trent Bahaja with the finishing touch. 2-0 for Sydney. Well, I think not only will Steve Corica be happy with that, but of course Trent Bahaja is part of the Olyroos setup as well. So even though Graham Arnold might have grimaced at the defending or the way that Sydney FC were allowed to build that goal, Trevor, he won't be too unhappy with that sort of a finish from Bahaja.
Yeah, definitely it's a hidden bonus. You know, the thing that Graham will be disappointed with is that these boys are, you know, soon going to be competing for you know, higher prizes, and you know, the marking in the box there could have been a lot better, the awareness of where the runners were. Although they're well timed, I think the boys would be disappointed themselves that they didn't clear that.
Trent Bahaja not exactly known for his aerial prowess. I don't think he scores too many off the noggin, but when you're unchallenged like that, couldn't really miss.
Yeah.
This is Sydney FC's 5th pre-season game, and maybe those extra minutes, that extra cohesion is showing in these opening minutes. Quarter of an hour played and already a comfortable lead for the A-League champions. Clipped forward by Grant. Skewed off the boot initially of Baum-Johann, but the Germans got it back and they look to build again. Lovely ball on the turn back from Barbarouses. And again, Sydney playing some eye-catching stuff before it's broken up by Nathaniel Atkinson. We will see changes, and plenty of them as the game goes on. Graham Arnold saying in his media conference yesterday that they'll bring on substitutes in batches in the second half, so as to try to not to disrupt the rhythm of the game, which can sometimes happen, can't it, in a friendly game? Constantly stop-starting for individual changes.
Yeah, definitely. It's always one of the, you know, one of the fine balances in these types of matches is giving people an opportunity to play and understanding that will throw the rhythm out.
Clipped forward by Zullo. Bahagia with Atkinson at his back, and it will be an Olyroos throw. Broken down off Atkinson, it's Bahagia. They could be in for a third here. They've got it. Alexander Baum-Johann. And another disaster defensively for the Olyroos. Graham Arnold turns away in disgust and remonstrates with his assistants on the bench. It was all too easy for Sydney, and Baum-Johann applied the finishing touch, and it's 3 for the A-League champions. Well, all too easy, Trevor.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, Sydney have a good start and good rhythm, but you know, their miscommunication issues, their marking in the box, they're not clearing a ball, they're not structural or tactical things. They're just players maybe miscommunication, not knowing each other or making mistakes, and being punished by a team that's heading off to play for a big title.
Sydney FC looking a class above at the moment. That's a nice turn though by Keanu Bacchus. Rattray off in hot pursuit. Gets the return off Joel King, does Bacchus. Lockie Wales drifting inside, looking to see a bit more of the ball. Rami Nazarene might open up from him here. And it ricochets away off Alex Wilkinson for a corner, which is a good response. The Olyroos perhaps a little bit stung by that third goal. See if Graham Arnold's team can make a dent in Sydney's lead from the corner. In swinger, the wind makes it tricky for the defenders. Baum-Johann first to react, and cool and calm enough to get his way out of trouble. Rattray with nowhere to go, but back to Bratton. Wilkinson. Hewitt Bell given another test with his feet. More accurate this time, but Grant was beaten in the air by King. And here come the Olyroos with Nathaniel Atkinson. Heavy touch, but he's got away with that one. Threads it through the legs, and Nazarene goes across goal and did take a touch on the way through. It's going to be a corner. And that's better from the Olyroos, Trevor.
Yeah, a little bit more composed, strung a few passes together and got themselves into position with a good quality ball played into the box. It was a little bit lucky at the last minute, but got Rami into a good situation where he could make that choice to shoot or deliver for someone else.
So the corner punched in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and solid fist away by Hewitt Bell. Ninkovic thought that Baum-Johan was behind in the cross by Najeri, and again the wind perhaps got underneath it. It's not accurate enough for the Olyroos. Had a good move for Rami Najeri, Trevor, to go to Newcastle Jets on loan, try and get a bit more game time. He struggled for it really last season at Melbourne City.
Yeah, easily.
Sort of underlines what we were talking about before.
Easily answered at the end of the season. You know, does he play 25 matches of football? Rami has a great deal of talent and needs to develop that in competitive situations. So definitely look forward to seeing what happens once the A-League gets started.
I think it was actually Luke Bratton who's on the pitch tonight who said he felt he had more natural talent than even Daniel Arzani, which is a great compliment, but he's just not been able to make that solid enough breakthrough as yet, has he?
No, and apparently he was running hot before the World Cup in 2018 and sustained an injury to his shoulder, and that's when Daniel Arzani started getting opportunities in the A-League squad. Prior to that, they were actually very impressed with Rami and looking to play him a lot.
He's back in his home state this coming season. Started his career with the Western Sydney Wanderers, of course, at A-League level. Lachlan Wales for the Olyroos. Backus out for Atkinson. Jeanreau. King. Sydney well set defensively, so they look for the ball over the top, and it was floated with a little bit too much air for Atkinson. Hewitt Bell being given plenty of work with the feet. Atkinson waiting for an option to appear. Eventually it's back to Morta Kutas and all the way back to Tom Glover. We just talked earlier, Trevor, about Australia's chances of perhaps getting a medal. Just wait and see how this develops, because Kai Rolls has got himself into an awful mess. It breaks for Barbarousis. Here's Bahaja, and the heavy touch gets the Olyroos off the hook. But again, those defensive errors have been prevalent for the under-23s in the opening 23 minutes. Just on those chances of winning a medal, you have to go back to 2004 in Athens to find the last time a men's team actually won a game at the Olympics. That was Serbia-Montenegro 5-1. The likes of Tim Cahill and John Aloisi were playing in those days.
Yeah, look,
it's a fair while.
And Graham will be the type of person that we use that as a motivation tool for the players, setting targets, trying to you know, reach higher standards. And he'll make the boys aware of those things when they get to the tournament. There's an opportunity to write their own history. See, now they're starting to get a few passages of play where they're controlling little moments of play and setting themselves up to try and create something. So, you know, we're now nearly half an hour in, 25 minutes in, and they're starting to find some connection. But obviously, at the present time, Sydney well in control overall in the match.
Stringing the passes together very nicely indeed. Ryan Grant opens up the field for Michael Zullo on the left. He has Bahaja and Barbarousis to try and hit. Doesn't manage to hit either of those, but retrieved by Ninkovic. Olyroos now back in numbers. And Sydney will try the more patient approach. Square by Wilkinson for Bratton. There's a bit of room here for Ryan Grant. Broken up by the Olyroos. Now they can spring forward perhaps, but transition was a touch slow. They're still in good field position, and Lockie Wales trying to pick out Baumann, but again it's overhit, which has been a feature of their play first half. in an attacking sense.
Yeah, the decision there would have been better to keep the ball and be a bit patient. But I guess, Lockie's trying to affect the play. He's trying to make something happen. And I think there are things that Graham will address at half-time about the mindset, about how to play, and not so much worry about the score, but look at the way you play the game. And in both phases, you can see in defence, they're working on a particular pressing method. They've got the three midfielders trying to cover a lot more space across the width of the pitch, and the wingers forcing play inside. So they've got tactical objectives you can see quite clearly in the game, and that's not been the cause of the goals. The goals have come from individual errors.
Not sure Luke Bratton was particularly happy with that challenge from Brandon Wilson, but the decision went the way of the Olyroos. Now they try more incisive passing, but Wales and Joel King making progress, only momentarily halted by Grant. The cross comes in, it's fisted away by Hewitt Bell, and then a slip by the goalkeeper from the follow-up shot from Nathaniel Atkinson, but he managed to recover in time and keep Sydney FC's goal intact. Now that's probably the Olyroos' best moment of the game. And Hewitt Bell really tested for the first time in anger. Nearly squirmed out of his grasp, Trevor, but got a second bite of the cherry.
Yeah, and for a moment there it looked like Rami was going to take the ball off Nathaniel's foot there, so it was good that he got out of the way and let Nathaniel strike on goal. And that's one of the assets Nathaniel has, is that ability to get forward off the ball. He's an excellent athlete, he's very quick, and he got himself into a scoring position, which is great.
Here's Denny Jeanroy, who started this attack for the Olyroos by breaking it up on halfway. Joel King squares it up for Keanu Bacchus, and then total miscommunication. Wales came back towards goal. Joel King didn't know where Bacchus was going to put it, and in the end it's a Sydney FC throw. And that sort of understanding is only built over the weeks and the games that you play together, isn't it? And when you've been out of action, as the Olyroos have for 9-10 months, it takes a while to get it back.
Yeah, and there's knowing the pattern of play or the style of play that the coach wants, and then there's also individual understanding between players. The guy that wants it to feet, the guy who always wants it to space, when to release, and those things take a little while to get that connection. That's why Ninko, for example, is central to everything that Sydney does. He has an understanding of everybody in the space as well and knows what they want.
Little touch around the corner, which was nice from Rami Najari. Left a touch short though by Atkinson for Bacchus. Bam Johan trying to drive through traffic in midfield. Now Lachlan Wales, who was part of that grand final losing team for Melbourne City in this city back in late August. Brandon Wilson, who's another one off to Doha. He leaves on Friday to join up with Perth Glory for the resumption of their inaugural Champions League campaign. No real options for Tom Glover. He's had a fine season between the sticks for Melbourne City. Quickly taken throw by Zullo. It was the right idea. Barbarouses gives him the thumbs up, but fortunately for the Olyroos, Trevor, Tasmore Kutis was alive to that danger.
Yeah, and that whole situation came from they had possession of the ball, they had players in good positions, they just didn't move the ball quick enough to take advantage of it, and then Sydney's able to be effective in their press. The fullbacks both got high, they just need to move the ball a lot quicker, and they'll start to find space.
Going to be Luke Bratton to take the corner. Wants to be a pro golfer when he finishes football. Goes to the little pot along the green to Bam Johan. Clips it back for Rattray. Scorer of the game's opening goal after just 5 minutes. Here's Bam Johan, who got the third. Cross with the outside of the boot. Good body position from Brandon Wilson, and he gets the throw off Bam Johan. Missed out on a starting spot in the grand final, Alexander Bam Johan, to Anthony Caceres came off the bench.
Anthony and Ryan Grant were really enjoying some great combination play towards the end of the final series, and it's quite enjoyable to watch, and probably a huge asset to have someone of Alex's talent on the bench as well, knowing what he can bring to the game.
Depth helps, doesn't it?
Always.
Here's Joel King, who is a Sydney FC player as well. And again, it's just overhit by King. Wales in the end unable to retrieve it. Might that grand final have been different had Lockie Wales not been offside and Harrison Delbridge's early goal been allowed to stand for Melbourne City? We'll never know.
Definitely. So there's one just that moment there with Tommy also having trouble playing out. But if you look for positives at half-time, which a coach should always do, I'm sure Graham will point to the fact that in these build-up phases, when the press has been right from the Olyroos, it's made it difficult for Sydney at times. When they've not been organised, then Sydney got out easy. But when they're organised, they've actually forced quite a few longer passes out of play, and that would be part of the objective for the night.
Here's Danny Jonro, who was one of those players who broke up Sydney FC attack some minutes ago. Let's see what they do with this one. Again, Jonro involved, but Bahaja managed to nick it away from him. Wilson retrieves. Bacchus. Rami Najarid. And there's space on the left that they can utilise. Lachlan Wales has King outside him. He chooses to go centrally. Bacchus gets away from Rattray. Off Baumann. Could be a chance for Daniel Baumann again here. Atkinson trying to get around Ninkovic. Can't do so. It's still alive for the Olyroos. Atkinson goes deeper. Nodded down by King. They just can't complete that momentum.
No, he had an opportunity for a great little pass to slip Rami Najarine in on the same side of the play and chose the ball to back post, but there was a great little ball. He could have played Rami in on goal. Just missed the opportunity.
Nathaniel Atkinson just stretching out the calf. A bit early in the game for cramp. And I guess if you've not played much actual football in recent months, can quickly get to you. Heward Bell again. His distribution has been a concern in this opening 33 minutes or so.
Yeah, I guess you partially got to ask why too. Is it sometimes poor execution, or is it because the positioning of the Olyroos players is putting him in doubt, making it harder to play the centre halves, and then having to look for a deeper pass?
Yep, good point. Kai rolls to turn it back to Tom Glover. Bacchus being pressed by Rattray. Sydney looking to keep the Olyroos boxed in. Strong challenge by Luke Bratton, and eventually the referee does blow the whistle, just waiting to see if the advantage would accrue. The Olyroos quickly away. Lockie Wales. And there's a bit of a collision there with Bratton, which has left Lockie Wales in a spot of bother. Somewhat winded. Luke Bratton goes to check as to his welfare. Referee Tim Danaskos taking no chances, immediately calling for the medical team to come on. And gives us the chance, Trevor, whilst we have this little break, just to reflect on what we've seen so far and your overall impressions of both teams.
Obviously Sydney not fully extended at the present time. They're not having to do things at top pace, but they're showing their you can see their structure. You can see that they're a well coordinated team. You know, they're champions, and they've made some chances for themselves through things that are consistent in Sydney's style of play. Their pressing system's the same. They can take the pace out of the game if they want, or they can press on negative passes. So they've been the dominant team for that reason. I'm probably a bit biased here, trying to keep an eye on the Olyroos, and look at how they might improve over the coming months.
Olyroos have got a game against MacArthur, of course, coming up on Tuesday. That's an afternoon kick-off. No fans allowed in for that game. And then I guess that once the world starts to hopefully open up a little bit, fingers crossed with the vaccine, that maybe Graham Arnold will be able to get some international fixtures. Talk of potential games against New Zealand, maybe, which would make sense, of course. Here's Bahaja, just couldn't quite take it in his stride. And Tom Glover will gather. But there's not going to be too many more opportunities to play games as a squad between now and Tokyo. So they've got to try and find that rhythm as quickly as possible, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously the club form of players in between both the boys here, domestic competition and those international competitions. Monitoring players is something that the national team staff are always doing, and looking at people's form, and obviously so the matches quality that you can have, but also the quality of players you're able to bring into every match, and making sure that there's a real positive pressure to wear the national team jersey.
Of course, there are players that are not involved in this two-game series from overseas, the likes of Daniel Arzani and Ryan McGree, Harry Suter, Zach Duncan, who's out injured at the moment.
Yeah, actually, I saw some video. I saw his father the other day, and I saw some video of him returning to training and doing some fast feet through some markers and bits and pieces, which is great to see. He's up and moving again and looking forward to playing.
Of course, we've mentioned Nick D'Agostino, and there's also Dylan Wenzel-Halls that I know that Graham Arnold was keen to have a look at, but couldn't do so because of the border restrictions. Nazarene coming back from an offside position in that Olyroos attack, which is why he didn't go for the ball. Turned back by Patrick Flotman, who's looked reasonably composed in one of his rare starts for Sydney FC. Look at that from Ninkovic. He was under a fair bit of pressure there, but you wouldn't have known it. It's as much between the ears as the talent in his feet, isn't it, at times with Ninkovic?
Yeah, definitely. And Paolo read him well and supported him to get the return ball. So those little connections of playing together.
Yeah. Wilson finding Denny Jonro. There's another one who's gone in search of regular first-team football with MacArthur. Sprays it out towards Joel King, who went first time. Lockie Wells is quick, but Flotman always had front position. 23-year-old who did play a bit of first-team football overseas in the second division in Thailand. Earned him a second opportunity. We talk about pathways, Trevor. Sometimes the line isn't straight, is it? You've got to take a zigzag approach to get where you want to go.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the point about that, Patrick's been with the club for a long time, and he's still only a young man, and you've got a captain like Wilco that you're waiting for him to retire probably to get more game time. But
don't tell Wilco that.
We should be very honest and say it's everyone's responsibility to try and a young player like Patrick, if his journey's not exactly a straight line to the top, then let's keep helping him. Whatever he's giving everything he's got and wants to improve. We're looking, for the country to try and help these young players stay on track and give them more games to play, a reason to keep going.
Real up and under from Joel King. Zullo was underneath it. Ninkovic got a touch, but Atkinson has the ball. Now Nazarene, it's all very tight in there, and it was late on Nazarene. Zullo. Free kick for the Olyroos. And they've certainly grown in confidence, the under-23s, since the opening 80 minutes, in which they conceded 3 times. Now we're just under 5 minutes of the first half to run. Let's see if they can get one back from this set-piece situation. It's going to be Rami Najjarine who goes low and hard. Second bite at it. Came off Barbarouses last. Going to be a throw for Graham Arnold's team. So only at half-time we will be chatting to the Sydney FC CEO Danny Townsend about the Champions League and the new A-League season, 1 or 2 other things. We've got a couple of interesting features as well on one of our leading Socceroos and one of our leading Matildas. So no cup of tea for you at half-time, Trevor. You have to earn your coin in this gig.
I'm pretty sure you'll be the busy one.
This is Morta Kutas of the Western Sydney Wanderers. Under new management, of course, in the shape of Carl Robinson for the new A-League campaign. And I know Robinson's been full of praise for Morta Kutas.
This is better.
Atkinson just overrun it. Heavy touch, and Zulo was able to intervene. Bam Johan trying to go through the guts of the Olyroos defence. It's a good sliding challenge, though, by Kai Rolls to deny Trent Bahagia, whose pace is always a dangerous weapon to have. Joel King now at the other end. Gets it back off Najjarine, but King got it all wrong. Linkovic. Neatly done on the turn. Rattray and then Bam Johan. Milos Ninkovic. Little pirouette by Zulo. Back towards Ninkovic. Rattray in the left fullback position almost. Ninkovic again. Broken up by a combination of Bacchus and Wilson. And they could be in here. The Olyroos. It's Rami Najjarine on the right. Rattray giving chase. It's Najjarine. Steered away for now by Grant. Retrieved by Joel King. And Bam, and I think that came off his shoulder. He was trying to sort of flick it with his head back towards goal. He was in an awkward position. It didn't work out for him, and Sydney can break. And Barbarouses can't squeeze it through for Bahagia. Good work by Atkinson. That was a real chance, though, for the Olyroos. Scooped forward by Bacchus, Najjarine. And it's a corner of Trent Bahagia. Last minutes of the first half. Sydney utterly dominant in the opening 20 minutes. Helped, it must be said, by 3 rather generous defensive mistakes. But since then, the Olyroos have certainly come back into things, and they have this corner here, which Najjarine delivers deep. Too deep, as it turns out, Trevor.
Yeah, turned out very well for Sydney there. It wasn't really a ball to come and attack. It was at best one to head back across goal. But I think Rami could have been a bit more brave in striking the ball a bit firmer there and giving something to attack.
I do think that strong breeze has perhaps played a part as well. We'll see if it affects Sydney FC. And they attack that end of Jubilee Stadium in the second half. And there we go. No additional time to be added on. And at the break at Jubilee Stadium, the scoreline looks very comfortable for the reigning A-League champions. Early goals from Paolo Retre, from Trent Bahaja and from Alexander Baum-Johan, giving us a half-time scoreline in Kogarah of the Olyroos 0, Sydney FC 3.
Spectators must comply with Football Federation Australia's terms of admission and the venue's conditions of entry, including provisions relating to security screening.
My husband decided, yes, we got to get out of India, and we were accepted to Australia, and we came here, and the rest is history, really. At that time, all the Anglo-Indians were leaving. We sent my younger sister to England, and we were going to follow, and we never followed. The doctor said my husband wouldn't make it because of the weather, so then we applied to come here. I think that we made a fantastic choice.
Hey Nan, just want to say how grateful I am you chose Australia as your country from India. So proud to be your granddaughter, so proud to represent my country, and hopefully every time I step on the field and wear our last name, I represent our family well.
Look at that, isn't that beautiful?
Miss you, love you, hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.
Oh, that's fantastic. Isn't that amazing? Am I the first one to have one in the family? Woohoo! I came here, I used to cry all the time because I'd never ironed anything, I'd never cooked. I would go to the butcher and say, wait for everyone to leave the shop and say, excuse me, could you tell me what that is? Oh, that's so-and-so, so-and-so. Could you tell me how to cook it, please? And I'd go home and cook it, and nobody could eat it. Out would come the ham and eggs. She just loved her sport. She was always kicking a ball, running around.
Why not throw in the flip?
There's the backflip.
I love her cartwheel ones, and the one that was on the Opera House, that was just amazing.
So how do you feel when you actually see her playing for Australia?
Oh, it's hard to describe the feeling. It's so much pride. It's absolutely amazing. The places she's traveled to, and it's such a mixed culture. The people she's met and the people that I've met through her games, you know. Oh, I just love to watch her play. It's so sad that she's so far away now.
All the way through for Sanka! 10 out of 10 in 2019 for Australia's Golden Girl.
Whenever she comes home, she's always here, or we go out for a coffee or lunch. She never fails to come and see me and take me out. I know she thinks of me all the time, but it was just unbelievable getting that jersey. Thank you so much, darling. I love you. Keep safe.
Oh, look, there's me in tears again. I'm useless. I can't help it.
Hey Dad, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for me throughout my life and my career. I know it couldn't have been easy for you to leave England at such a young age, to come to Australia to start a new life for yourself, start a young family. You were always the one that inspired me, and I always wanted to emulate everything you did.
Oh, he hasn't got me a shirt, has he?
This is just a small appreciation from me to you, so I hope you like it. I love you.
Oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. I tear up every time. I thought it was a great looking shirt. Oof. That's fantastic. I will treasure it, that's for sure and certain. I came out in '74. So we arrived in Singapore on the plane, and we got on this Russian boat, the Fedor Shaliapin. Honestly, the worst boat I've ever been on in my life. Me and my brother had to get our hair cut because they wouldn't let you in with long hair. But it was an adventure, so yeah, we made the best of it. It was just easy going, and and it was lovely that I had a job, and it just brilliant. Just loved it. I love the weather. I hated English winters. I hated them. I spent a lot of time kicking the ball with him, and I mean a lot of time. Backyard, down the oval, going to football. He always had something about him, and he loved it. I thought he'd do well, never thought he'd do this well. He basically went to Central Coast when he was about 15 and a half. Yeah, he found out a lot for himself. I'd come from England and moved here. I hadn't really travelled at all, so I hadn't been to half the countries he's been to. He knows, excuse me, he knows I love him, and he always tells me he loves me, so yeah, beautiful. Welcome to the G-Bar. The G-Bar came about, I just said, well, if you want to come over for a beer on the way home from work, do so. Well, that's when they won the Asian Cup over in Sydney.
The header is in from Trent Sainsbury.
We were all across for that, about 20 odd of us. This was his, number 15 was his first ever shirt when he sat on the bench. I forget the name of the coach, but he didn't play him. Silly man. This is when we were in Russia, when Trent was out sprinting him, and they reckon he's the fastest player in the world. Don't think so. Trenny, shirt, fantastic. When I got it, you know I'm bloody tearful all the time. I can't help it when it's you. Thanks, mate, and thanks for all your help. And I love you, and I really want to see you soon. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, aren't they great stories, those generations of Australian Socceroos and Matildas, Sam Kerr, Trent Sainsbury, with families like so many of us who moved to Australia for a better, a different life. And look at what their sons, daughters, granddaughters, grandsons have done, now representing the green and gold with pride. We're back here at Jubilee Stadium, half-time between Australia under-23s and Sydney FC. Sydney FC comfortably in the lead by 3-0. And I'm sure that makes our guest Danny Townsend, the CEO of Sydney FC, a very happy man at the moment. Good to have you with us, Danny. Thanks for your time at half-time here at Jubilee Stadium. Your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, look, it's great to see football back.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to see the young guys who've obviously not played a lot of football together come out and play against a team who's played a lot of football together, and you can probably see that by the score. But I think the Olyroos are doing a great job coming back into probably the latter end of the first half, and it should be a fun second half.
Strange one for a couple of them. We've got Tom Hewitt-Bell playing for Sydney, but he's also involved with the Olyroos, and Joel King playing for the Olyroos, but he's coming with you to the Champions League to play for Sydney.
I bumped into Joel down in the tunnel and ignored him because he was wearing the opposition strip, but no, it is a bit of a strange one for the guys. But look, it's great for them to get this experience and play with a bunch of different players, and you know, I think they're enjoying it from what I could tell, so it's great.
This is your 5th pre-season friendly so far. We're calling it pre-season because, of course, it's the A-League season that starts on the 27th of December. We'll talk about that in a moment. Before that, you head off to Doha on Saturday to resume your AFC Champions League campaign. It's been a tricky business, hasn't it, getting this back up and running, but you're finally going, everything good and ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm happy to say at about 3 o'clock this afternoon we received the exemptions from the New South Wales government.
It was that late?
It was that late, wow. Yeah. It was, you know, we're grateful to everyone at the government that worked hard to get it done. A lot of the staff, our staff and FFA staff who had to work together to get it done. It was a complex situation, and we got there. So the boys are on a plane Saturday morning.
How are you going to go when you go over there? 3 tough teams, 3 big teams in Asian circles. Shanghai SIPG, along with Aramoy and maybe Hulk and 1 or 2 others. Arnautovic. You got Yokohama F. Marinos with Ange Postecoglou, of course, that we know, and John Book Motors. It's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we just talked about it off air. It's when you're playing these tournaments, you want to play and test yourselves against the best teams in the region, and they're 3 of the best and biggest clubs in Asia. And you know, we're 1 loss, 1 draw already in the group stages that already happened pre-COVID. And look, the guys are really excited about it. You know, once you come to terms with the fact you're going, and you know, they're all professional footballers and they all want to win. So as soon as we made the decision to make the trip, the boys are really going to knuckle down and give it a crack.
What happens if, and we hope you do, or one of the Australian teams does, make the final? Because that's in mid-December, and then
19th.
A-League season kicks off December 27. You've got to serve quarantine when you come. How's that all going to work?
Yeah, look, if we go
that far,
we'll at least have something to be proud of, which will compensate the boys for being in quarantine for Christmas and New Year and delay the start of the season for the A-League. But look, you know, it's one thing our club has really set ourselves a goal to perform better on the Asian stage. I think, you know, we've probably let ourselves down a little bit over the last couple of years. We've played well but haven't got the results, so chance to rectify that.
And just one final quick one. The A-League starts, and as we say, probably December 27 for all clubs. Well, it is for the league, but we don't know about you yet, and the two involved in the Champions League. How do you go about continuing this dynasty?
Look, it's continuity of your squad. You know, it was big for us to ensure that we kept this squad together. They're capable of something special. They've already proven that going back to back, and we think they're a genuine chance of winning 3 in a row that's never been done before. So it's exciting. Should be a great season. We're looking forward to it.
Wish you well. Thanks for joining us, Danny. Good luck in the Champions League. Safe travels and all that. And of course, if you're a Sydney FC member or thinking of becoming a member, then there's plenty of ways to join up with the Sky Blues this coming season.
We are Sydney FC. We are passionate originals, standing proud in sky blue. We are glorious goals.
Ninkovic with composure!
And stunning saves.
And a great save by Andrew Redmayne.
We are superstars.
Unbelievable.
Del Piero delivers!
And local heroes. We are winners.
Squares it up, the shot! Sydney draw first blood in the grand final.
Humble in victory. We are family. We are Bay 23. We are supporting our community and investing in their future. We are unwavering.
The FFA have officially taken the decision to postpone the A-League season.
And now share a deeper bond. We are Sky Blue. We are Sydney. The famous Sydney FC.
You've dreamed of places to go. You promised one day. Now, one day is here. New adventures. Wide open spaces. So, you can't travel the world right now. So what? New South Wales is here for you. Let's all reboot 2020. One unforgettable experience at a time. Now's the time to love New South Wales.
Back live here at Jubilee Stadium. Second half not too far away. We'll bring you news of a couple of changes for the Olyroos in a moment or two. Before that, I want to chat with Trevor Morgan about this theme of player pathways. We're going to focus in on 3 of the Olyroos, Trevor, starting with Tas Mordekoutas. And these pathways are important to give recognition, I think, for these junior clubs that develop these players, often without any fiscal return, at least until we get a transfer system, which we hope to have soon. And Tas Mordekoutas is a good example of this. Started with the Marrickville Red Devils, came through Football New South Wales National Training Centre, Sydney Olympic FC, and now he's with the Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yeah, and I think that's a thing to highlight is that you have a pathway, that you have a number of clubs that you develop through. Your national team is the one that you stay with for your life. But it's something that we feel is really important, is not only bringing this transfer system which helps compensation fees come back down, but also the recognition that people who've played a part in helping a player get to the next level, we need to reward those people both with recognition and eventually, you know, with some money. But the important thing is that's how we would like people to think about players in the game, is about raising their standard and being happy to let them go when they need to go to a high level.
You just saw a shot there of Nathaniel Atkinson jogging out for the second half. He's another one that sort of epitomises this, what do we call it in the first half, the jagged pathway. He started with Riverside Olympic and then, of course, was Football Tasmania National Training Centre, now with Melbourne City. Tom Glover, the Menai Hawks, he started off with Sutherland Sharks and then went to Tottenham, of all clubs. Your club as well, Trevor, I know that. And then the Mariners, a loan spell at Helsingborg, and now with Melbourne City.
Yeah, and I'd like to think, you know, someone like Tommy, who Graham's very impressed with, you know, it's a bit like Aaron Moy's journey, moving overseas, meeting a challenge and they're needing to come home and play a lot more football. So we'd like to think that, with great performances like he's had in the recent A-League season and performances for the Olyroos, is an opportunity for him to really stand out in this league and also get a second chance at the highest level.
Just waiting for Sydney FC to retake the field, and just quickly ask you about the alignment of the national football calendar, which I know is a piece of work that you've been very heavily involved in. I think you're actually writing it, aren't you?
Look, fortunately, we've engaged a team of people right across all departments of FFA to try and pull this together. But the idea is, if you line things up, there's a chance from the financial point of view, for transfers to happen because the leagues are aligned and players might sign longer contracts. But more for the public is that we can pick certain windows of time in the calendar where we can have a Matildas match at the same time as a junior national championships, as a coach education course, and really build a whole community feel and a festival style of activity that we can promote the game, connecting from the top to the bottom.
Good initiatives, and we're set to go for the second half. A couple of changes to update you for the Olyroos. Angus Thurgate is on in place of Daniel Baumann, so the Newcastle Jet for the Central Coast Mariners player, and also Aidan O'Neill has replaced Keanu Bacchus at half-time. No changes as yet for Sydney FC. I'm sure they will come as the game progresses. A reminder, it's Sydney FC leading by 3-0. Goals from Rattray, Bahaja and Baum-Johan. But the Olyroos were certainly much better as that first half progressed. And they are on the attack through Nathaniel Atkinson here, who rolls it down the channel for Rami Najarine. He's got Michael Zullo at his back, and he earns the second half's first corner.
Yeah, and a positive action there from the Olyroos straight away. Forward run, Rami receiving the ball in a high area, and obviously a guy with great individual skill looking to create something. Let's see if the Olyroos can capitalise with something from this set piece.
They probably only forced one real save out of Tom Heward-Bell in the first half. See if they can put further pressure on here. Headed away by Ninkovic. Mordakutis helps it back towards Sydney FC's goal. Sydney managed to get things out through a combination of Flotman and Baum-Johan, and now Bratton. Lovely drop of the shoulder to get rid of Lachlan Wales. Barbarouses outnumbered in that midfield congestion. Denny Jonro driving forwards. It's Najarine again, waiting for Joel King to join in. He's used as a decoy. And a switch from Aidan O'Neill. Looking for the give and go with Nathaniel Atkinson as he overcooked it somewhat. Managed to keep it in play. Angus Thurgate on the turn. And it was Wilkinson who made the block. But a good start to the second half by Graham Arnold's team.
Yeah, definitely some positive play, and good to see straight away trying to combine and attack, which is a great mentality, despite the scoreline at the moment.
As you remarked upon in the first half, Trevor, I'm sure Graham Arnold said, look, forget about the scoreboard. It's about how we play.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see Rami starting to drift into these areas regularly now. That's where he likes to play more in the pocket, a bit more central, and that's allowing Nathaniel to get forward regularly. And I think if Rami starts to receive more balls in that area and Angus has good movement, there'll be opportunities come for them.
Joel King equally high on the other flank. Here he is on the ball. Trying to weave past 2 or 3 of his club teammates, and now he's chasing Alexander Baum-Johan. He had a pretty straightforward finish for the third goal as long ago as the 18th minute. But since then, the Olyroos have very much steadied the ship. Nonchalant little flick from Baum-Johan. Aidan O'Neill will be with Melbourne City when the A-League resumes. Stolen away briefly by Grant. Olyroos throw. Graham Arnold, of course, their coach, an Olympian himself, played in 1988 in Seoul. They went out in the group stage in that particular tournament. And just once out of the group since 1992, that famous team in Barcelona that finished 4th. And that was in Athens 16 years ago when they got to the quarterfinals. But since then, Trevor, it's been rather slim pickings.
Yeah, it's a difficult tournament. It's it's a very interesting tournament because of the ability to bring a couple of overage players in can really affect the quality of the tournament. Some real superstars can be there, but it's one that Australia has to take responsibility for, that we've struggled to qualify for these tournaments, and those experiences can be very, very influential in a player's career. Playing at that level of tournament, the number of players who are an Olyroos who go on to be a Socceroo is enormous. It's nearly 90%.
Given that Graham said yesterday he'd be quite happy to take a full squad of under-23 players, and there is still that potential for the Socceroos to be playing in the Copa America next year, that would sort of make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's a very congested calendar due to COVID, and all it can mean is great opportunities for players. Yeah. And right now is the time to make sure in the coming season you're really in form. You're the one that Graham wants to take.
Well, the Olyroos having plenty of territorial possession in this opening stanza of the second half. And Sydney are out of their own part of the field now through Ryan Grant on the right. And beyond him is Costa Barbarouses. The cutback is nice too. Baum-Johan. Just that final ball missing. It was behind Milos Ninkovic. And that opens up the space here a little bit for Rami Nazarene to stretch his legs on the right. Has Thurgate in close attendance. Oh, he slips it through beautifully, but just slightly overhit for Lockie Wales.
But that's Rami. That's what you see there. That's what Rami is. He's less likely to take the player one-on-one and pull the trigger himself. He loves to look for runners, and he's got great weight on his passing. Slightly overhit that one, but you could see what's in his mind and see the football there.
Newcastle Jets fans will be excited to see that ahead of new A-League season. Meantime, Baum-Johan can't find a way past Joel King. Denny Jonro. He's another very neat and tidy footballer. I thought he might have got more of an opportunity last year with Melbourne City, but not to be the case. Might happen for him with MacArthur this season. Here's Atkinson on the right. Making good progress. The back heel for Nazarene. O'Neill. Atkinson again. Fires it across. Chance for Joel King. And he couldn't control it. Puts it over the crossbar, but nicely constructed by the Olyroos.
Yeah, another positive moment. In a great position to deliver the ball. Maybe that it's bouncing makes it difficult, but the fact that it was quick and behind the defence, great opportunity for the Olyroos.
He's never scored in the A-League, Joel King. He had a chance to hit the target there on his debut for the Olyroos, but couldn't take it. More promising signs for Graham Arnold and his team. So a great story I was reading, I think it was a while back actually, but Joel King, of course he was a boyhood Sydney FC fan. When he was about 9 or 10 years old, he actually had a photo with Ryan Grant taken outside the Sydney Football Stadium.
That's brilliant.
And now he's playing in the same team as him. Well, not tonight, obviously, but... This is Milos Ninkovic. That little drag back and roll around. Didn't quite work out. Brandon Wilson knew it was coming. It's almost become Ninkovic's little trademark, that, hasn't it, that manoeuvre?
He's got a few.
He has.
Yeah, that story you raised about Joel King, I think it's great to see players that were fans of a club playing for the club. Similar thing happened with Daniel Wilmering over at Western Sydney the other year, from ball boy to first team player.
It's all about building that football culture, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that connection with their club is important. It was mentioned in the Golden Generation report a few years ago, the connection between players and the club they grew up at. That doesn't always happen now. Kids tend to move a lot more, but we'd love to see more of that connection, and I think the fans would as well. And that's what we saw in the COVID break, was some young talents in the club getting a chance to play.
I think that's why players such as Ryan Grant who are watching tonight, that's why they mean so much to supporters as well, don't they? Because they stay with that club and they have it really sort of imprinted in their DNA.
Yeah, and there's a couple out there for Sydney tonight. You know, Wilco, I was fortunate enough to coach Wilco when he was 16 years old at the old Northern Spirit. And, you know, to see the career he's gone on to have is just fantastic, because he's such a great guy and a good footballer, and just really, really pleased for him. And he's now a stalwart of Sydney. He's someone that's, you know, really special to the club.
Became the 4th Sydney FC captain to lift the A-League trophy in August, after Dwight Yorke, Terry McFlynn, Alex Brosk. I'm sure he's had one or two thoughts about maybe lifting the Asian Champions League trophy in December. That's a fair way off for Sydney yet. That's their next engagement.
The one thing we know, they'll be tactically well prepared. The staff at Sydney FC are excellent. You know, it's just a matter of how many high-level games they've had this year, and obviously how things go in the hub. It's going to be very challenging for all teams that get there.
Atkinson to launch it, Flotman underneath it. Little scoop over the top by Wilkinson for Ninkovic. And Sulo hugging the touchline. Pinged effortlessly by Ninkovic across to Grant. He clips it down the line to find Trent Bahaja. Just trying to find a trick to get his way around Kai Rolls. Couldn't do so.
You can see where situations like that really challenge the midfield tracking of the Olyroos, because when they play those balls in behind down the sideline and it draws the centre half out, it really exposes the hole. And Sydney always have forward runners going in the box. It's really important that the Olyroos track those runs and don't give them an easy finish. And they're the sort of things that they'll be exposed with at the top level at the Olympic Games, because they'll be playing against the best in the world.
Now, could the Olyroos get caught here trying to play out from the back? Brandon Wilson does pick out a teammate in Nathaniel Atkinson, but they've turned the ball over. Ninkovic, referee Tim Danaskos taking evasive action. Sydney going to make some changes of their own presently. You can see Anthony Caceres has been called towards a technical zone. They want to get minutes in legs such as his ahead of the Champions League. They've got 3 games or 4 games, I should say, in the space of a couple of weeks. Barbarouses, Rattray lets it run. Ninkovic, Bratton, Grant wanted it, maybe should have had it. Thurgate, Jeanreau, one for Nazarene to chase. And Alex Wilkinson given away well over a decade, but he's not lost any of that speed or reading of the game.
No, but that's again where Dennis maybe doesn't know Rami so well, because Rami's a player who prefers it to his feet and wasn't really looking for the ball in behind in that situation. So, you know, Alex read it well, and obviously they have the ball back.
Rattray, lovely ball, but Zullo with the miscue. Mordakutis being harried by Bahaja. Little break here for Nazarene. Plays it around the referee for Joel King. Steps inside Baum Johan. Thurgate. Not quite for Wales. And Graham Arnold just cutting a little bit of a frustrated figure at the moment. Wilson getting tight on Ninkovic, who then caught Jeanreau. Free kick for the Olyroos. See if Denny Jeanreau can find a little bit of quality here from the set piece. Monroe, of course, who was part of the squad for the qualifiers but got injured in Thailand. And the shot by Thurgate does sting the palms of Hewitt Bell, but he was equal to it. Plenty of power behind that snapshot from the Newcastle Jet.
Yeah, and it's a real positive thing. I'm a bit of a fan of Angus, you know, is he one that can go to the Olympic Games? Is he one that can kick on and be a Socceroos? Certainly comes from a very proud footballing area, northern New South Wales. They haven't had too many Socceroos for a while, and he's a real local talent that's gone on to do well for the club.
Kid from Port Macquarie. Johan boxed in here, and there's no foul. I think everybody stopped and waited for the whistle to go. But Tim Danaskos said, no, that's okay, on you go. And Sydney very nearly made to pay. Top marks, Patrick Flotman. Was Johan fouled? Back live with the action. Here's a chance for Lockie Wales, and again, Hewitt Bell called into action, this time with his feet. Headed back towards his own goal by Bahadur. It's not where he wanted it to go. Wales trying to wrap his boot around it. Up in the air by Flotman, but he's almost unbeatable aerially. Steady back down by Mordakutas. Plenty forward for the Olyroos here. Can they get a shot away? Skewed off the right boot of Flotman. Thurgate and Grant scrapping for it. Ball just won't come down for anybody. Now it should do for Barbarouses, and he keeps it in play. And Bahadur accidentally treads on the ball. A good little flurry of action in the Sydney FC goalmouth. Was there a foul on Johan in your opinion?
No, I didn't see one there.
Just on Angus Thurgate, Trevor, you said you're a big fan. What's his best position in your opinion?
That's a good point.
He can play a few.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say about him, that he's versatile. And I think sometimes that goes to your advantage as a national team player because, you know, particularly with the Olympics, 18 players, good to have some versatile players, guys that can present different problems or even you know, fill spaces depending on injuries and etc.
Flotman again to the rescue for Sydney FC as the Olyroos continue to put pressure on. Corner from Jean Rowe, and it's headed over the top by Kai Rolls.
See the result of a little bit better delivery. As Sir Alex says, delivery is everything, and an opportunity came from that. So
you're going to see a triple change here for the Olyroos. Lockie Wales replaced by Luke Ivanovic. Denny Jean Rowe is going to give way for Connor Metcalf. And we're also going to see the introduction of Tate Russell at the expense of Nathaniel Atkinson.
Substitution for Sydney FC, replacing number 8, Carlo Retre, as number 28, Caleb Newman.
A couple of changes as well for Sydney FC. Callum Neuvenhoff is on in place of Paolo Retre. And we've also seen Anthony Caceres take the place of Alexander Johan as well. Like for like swap there. Here's Bahadur trying to run in behind and utilise that pace that we know he has, but Glover there ahead of him. So as predicted, we're going to have changes in batches. See if it disrupts the flow of the game. Hopefully not. There's Flotman again. He's been very attentive to his duty in this second half. Trevor, it's had to be as well as the Olyroos have tried to mount a comeback. Oh dear, Brandon Wilson going right over the top of Ninkovic. Referee Danaskos with no other option really but to blow the whistle. And you also wanted to make a point, Trevor, about Indigenous Football Week, which of course is this week.
Yeah, we're heading out to Dubbo Friday, Saturday to spend some time with the Moriarty Foundation out there. Probably a great opportunity to highlight Tate Russell from an Indigenous background, looking to progress through the national teams. I was lucky enough to work with Tate at Western Sydney a few years ago. He's a great young talent, and obviously it's good to see him in the national team.
I think Nathaniel Atkinson also identifies as being Indigenous. And yeah, it's been a while since we've had an Indigenous Socceroo. We've had a few in the Matildas, but yeah. I think only 7 in history, 7 Indigenous Socceroos.
Yeah, so another number we'd like to increase.
Indeed,
right?
Yeah.
So I'll be out in Dubbo on Saturday watching a gala day and looking for some young talent there. Opportunity to see some kids, encourage them in the game, and hopefully find someone that deserves an opportunity to come and train at a higher level.
John Moriarty and his team do fantastic work. Various parts of the country trying to identify those Indigenous talents. Here's Zulo. Wouldn't quite sit for Ninkovic. Too heavy from Joel King. I think Graham Arnold just had a little flick out at the mullet there of Ryan Grant. He's got to be careful with that. Doesn't take too kindly to the touching of the hair.
Yeah, he might let Graham away with it, I think.
Nazarene boxed in. O'Neill. Rolls for King, or at least that was the intention. What a breakthrough season Joel King had last A-League campaign with Michael Zullo, of course, suffering from several injuries. Got the chance to play almost the entire season. Now he's going to be off playing in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes how you get your opportunity, isn't it? Sometimes you get it through your own form and breaking your way in that way, and other times you get it through an injury, and I think it's up to you to take that opportunity. And I thought Joel did very well this past season.
Certainly did. Boy from Shell Harbour, whose sister Taryn, I think, played for Canberra United as well. Real football family. Neuvenhoff with an awkward one for Bratton. He's trying to retrieve the situation now. Just got a little nudge in the back from Angus Thurgate. Callum Neuvenhoff. Talking of those pathways, Trevor, came through Manly United on the Northern Beaches. Part of Sydney FC's Youth League winning squad this season as Barbarouses helps it on towards Ryan Grant with one of his trademark steamrollering runs forward. They have to settle for a corner.
Yeah, it's great to see players progressing again, as we said before, progressing through a club. Callum's someone we can keep an eye on for the young Socceroos age group. You know, it's up to him to keep playing club football to the highest level possible, to ask the question of the national team staff.
Still waiting his A-League debut, Neuvenhoff, but getting the best part of half an hour tonight.
He's behind a couple of talented midfielders there.
You could say that. One of which is about to deliver this corner, Luke Bratton. The outswinger, and Flotman was trying to get underneath it. Off the head of Ninkovic. Olyroos trying to get it clear, but Flotman has retrieved it well. Driven low and hard by Ryan Grant at the near post off Luke Bratton. It will be a goal kick. Sydney FC look for the corner. Just the wrong side of the post from Sydney FC's perspective. And a fourth goal might have been just a touch unfair on the Olyroos, given the way they performed second half. Trevor, would you say?
Yeah, I think the game's been more even in that, beyond that first 20 minutes, and some positive signs for the Olyroos, but I think Sydney's still quite comfortable. You see the class of Ryan Grant while he was in the box.
Nazarene, sorry to break in. Good save by Hewitt Bell. Squared up again. Can they provide the finish here? Nazarene can't get the better of Wilkinson, and Sydney survive. That's 2 or 3 decent stops, though, by Hewitt Bell to keep Sydney's clean sheet intact, and now they spring forward to the other end. Threaded through for Bahaju, who's just a whisper offside. And it wouldn't account it. A little too strong for Joel King. And of course, Sydney FC, Trevor, are trying to find goals, which they have done tonight in the early part of the game. Costa Barbarouses without his strike partner from last season, Adam Lafondra, scorer of 20 goals in the A-League. Now departed to the Indian Super League. No replacements on board as yet, so the likes of Bahaju and maybe Luke Ivanovic, etc. will get opportunities.
Yeah, it's a real challenging year, testing depth, but I think you can look at it 2 ways. You can definitely look at it as an opportunity for some young players. And it's part of their growth, isn't it? Is to play high level tournaments and build that knowledge of top football. How to prepare, what to expect, how to perform.
Hewitt Bell's going to have to hurry here. Being put under the pump by Luke Ivanovic. Another one who's playing against his parent club tonight. Aidan O'Neill. Brandon Wilson. Out towards Tate Russell on the right, who might have got a kick there from Zullo. He did. Free kick. Just a fraction too late from Zullo. No chance for Nazarene to show us what he can do again with that left peg. Mordakutis and Kai Rolls have taken up their spots on the edge of the D. Nazarene's delivery. Up in the air by Nieuwenhof. Oh, and a chance for Thurgate, but he couldn't wrap his boot around it. Came in pretty quickly, in fairness. And that's the signal for another triple change for the Olyroos. Brandon Wilson is going off. We're going to see Cameron Devlin in the midfield. His first appearance for the Olyroos. Another former Sydney FC player.
Yeah, so Cammy's one I know very well. I actually scouted him from Sutherland Sharks and took him to Wanderers for a few years, and he ended up at Sydney and then went to Wellington with Uffy. And to be fair, had an excellent breakout A-League season.
And the other changes, Johnny Katrumbis of the Newcastle Jets has replaced Kai Rolls, and as you can see there, Jordan O'Doherty of the Wanderers has replaced Rami Nazarene. So pretty much all change for Graham Arnold's team. Here is Aidan O'Neill, and he's picked out Luke Ivanovic, who fires the shot in, but Ryan Grant was in the road. It's going to be a corner for the under 23s. Nice tail on the cross, and it was just a little bit too much for Ryan Grant, but he recovered. Luke Ivanovic on the ground where he scored his first A-League goal against Melbourne City. Olyroos again trying to press high. But Bratton has a bit more time now. And picks out Barbarouses. Since that opening flurry in the first 20 minutes, Trevor, the likes of Barbarouses and Bahaja have been kept reasonably quiet. Sydney got a man down here, and the Olyroos might profit from this. It's Aidan O'Neill, but he's dragged his shot wide of the post.
Yeah, there's been some positive signs in the pressing system. It's just a case of they're doing it different to how they do it at club level, so you've got to learn that in a couple of days. And, you know, when the strikers are getting the press right, sometimes the midfielders are reading it well, and other times they're not. When they get it right, you can see they're you know, pinching possession back in the front half of the pitch, and that's a positive sign for the Olyroos.
Well, look, Bratton picked up a whack in that previous exchange, just taking his time to get back up on his feet. Last thing Steve Corica needs ahead of the Champions League is any injury concerns. Drop here for Caceres. Pursued by Connor Metcalf initially. Another one who had a real breakthrough campaign with Melbourne City. If I'm allowed to be partisan about a player, I think he's one who's got a real chance of making it. I love his physicality and his eagerness to try and get involved, and he can score as well, can shoot from long range.
Well, you can give Arnie a buzz, and
no, I wouldn't do that. We'll just point out though, the last time I did that was a long time ago. A certain player called Sasha Ognanovsky, and everybody went, nah, no chance.
Does he still send you Christmas cards now? So thanks.
Here's Caceres. Got past one defender, but not Kutrumbis, who ultimately ran out of real estate. Will be a corner for Sydney. Sydney preparing a double change of their own shortly. Two youngsters, Harry van der Sarg and Patrick Wood, who's been in terrific form for the NPL sides. More on that in a moment. Corners work back for Zullo, the cross towards Flotman. Strong but fair challenge from Nieuwenhof. Here's that double change for Sydney FC. So Harry van der Sarg, another one who really established himself in the first team ranks last season, is going to replace Michael Zullo. We know a bit about Harry, but a bit less about this 18-year-old Patrick Wood, who's a striker who attends St Paul's Catholic College in Manly. Won the Y-League in 2020 with the Youth League side, and scored 11 goals in 11 games in the NPL season to win the Golden Boot in that competition.
Yeah, great young kid. He's been unfortunate with some injuries along the way, so he's missed out on earlier opportunities to represent his country. He's stayed with Sydney. You can see now the opportunity to be around the first team and go to a major tournament. And those are all things that you miss one opportunity because for whatever reason, and fortunately by staying involved in the game, being committed, you get another chance.
And here he is playing with the first teamers and about to go off to an Asian Champions League and looking to get involved early, trying to track down Tasmor Kutas.
Nice and cool there from Tommy Glover to play out.
He's another one that's really grown in stature over the last 12 months. Had a terrific end to the campaign with Melbourne City, I dare say, without wishing to pick Arnie's team for him. He's first choice Olyroos goalkeeper at this point for Tokyo.
Yeah, look, he had a fantastic end to the a season, even in the grand final. Some outstanding moments for him. and that's great to see young players building their career with performances in big matches.
Here's Tate Russell on the right. They've got plenty in the box here, the Olyroos, but offside. Fortunately for them, against Luke Ivanovic. Just didn't quite time the run. Back on side. Oh, Hewitt Bell almost got himself in a real tangle there. Jordan O'Doherty was seeking a profit from it, but credit to the young goalkeeper. He managed to get the ball away out of the danger zone. Actually been a good test for Hewitt Bell tonight, hasn't it? Because he's got such big gloves to fill in shape of Andrew Redmayne.
Yeah, and I think at the present time he could probably still point to the fact that he's got a clean sheet. He's made a couple of saves that really sharp on with his feet a while ago. So, you know, there's plenty of positives for Tommy to take out of this match.
And again, to return to this recurrent theme, he's another one that's just not played an awful lot of football. So it takes a while to get in that groove, doesn't it?
Yeah, you asked the question about the calendar before, and one of the reasons for aligning the calendar and trying to get the National Premier Leagues to get some more flexibility is to give these guys, you know, maybe they're in the match day squad, they're not used. Is the NPL game the next day, and can they play it? And make sure that they get some consistent form going. There's many youth players who play under 17 for Australia, and 2 years later have only played a handful of matches. And you know, when we talk about what are we producing, well, they're not getting that chance. And certainly that's a real objective of the FFA, is to try and help all competitions to deliver that for the players.
I think Graham Arnold quoted the stat that some players are only playing like 60 minutes a month, which is just nowhere near enough, is it?
No, it's not. It's you know, the stats to come out of it is that roughly players who have above 2,250 minutes in a season for a few seasons in a row have a great career progression, and those who don't.
Which makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Bratton's corner, angles it back to the top of the box where Harry van der Sarg is situated, and back post was Wilkinson. Looking to steer it across towards his central defensive partner, Patrick Flotman. Geordie Swible is being ready to Sydney FC's next change. Actually, I beg your pardon, it's Chris Zavella. Young man who's had a lot of injury problems over the last 12 months. Another one to fall victim to the ACL curse.
Yeah, Chris would be, I think, maybe 23 now. So he's one of those, that age group of players that we've been targeting about, trying to make sure that they have access to competitions and more match minutes. And there's a guy who has talent. He's with an A-League club. We want him to play more and more minutes over the coming years to try and become a senior pro like the ones that are on the pitch now.
He's just having to wait his turn for the moment, Chris Zavella. Surprised you speak so glowingly about him, Trevor. He's an Arsenal fan.
You can't. He's an Aussie first, so I'll give him that credit first. But
here's Ivanovic. Got the cross horribly wrong. Luke Ivanovic. Here's that change for Sydney, and it's the end of the section for Milos Ninkovic, who again at times has really delighted us tonight, as he often does.
Yeah, there's always moments of class when he's on the pitch. It makes other people play better.
You can hear by the ripple of applause from the small gallery here tonight. He's always a crowd favourite, and clearly a favourite of Graham Arnold as well. He's gone and given Arnie a hug before he shakes Steve Corica's hand as he comes off the pitch, Milos Ninkovic. Good, healthy sign of respect between player and his former club coach. I guess the only thing that's missing in this second half is the goals, Trevor.
Yeah, definitely. It always makes a better game, doesn't it, when you see a goal. and it's been pretty quiet in terms of really, really top chances in the last half an hour.
Caceres scrapping away for it. Nothing left in the dressing room there, was there, between Cam Devlin and Anthony Caceres? Cam Devlin's such a competitor. He's had a great season with Wellington.
Yeah, I think he gets himself in those situations. He competes for every ball. And Anthony wasn't about to give him a free one there.
We're going to see Josh Laws and Connor O'Toole for the last few minutes. They'll probably be the final changes for Graham Arnold's team. Said he wanted to give pretty much everybody a run tonight, because of course 6 of these players will leave the Olyroos camp to go and be part of their club side's Champions League campaigns in Doha. And one of those is Joel King, who'll be there with Sydney FC. So he takes his leave. Connor O'Toole of the Newcastle Jets is on, and Tas Mordekoutis is replaced by Josh Laws, who will be playing for the Wellington Phoenix this current A-League, or next A-League campaign, starting in December. This is Nieuwenhof. Bratton was instinctive, and he knew that Ryan Grant would get there, even though it wasn't the most accurate release. His determination got him there, even in a pre-season friendly. Wood, Caceres, Nieuwenhof. No way through for Bratton. And Ivanovic will bring it clear for the Olyroos. They want to get on the score sheet. Chance for Jordan O'Doherty on the right here. Trying to find the angle perhaps of the shot, or to tee up a teammate. And in the end, they have to settle for a corner. Connor O'Toole's first involvement was so close to being an assist, but Ryan Grant wouldn't let him have it.
Great ball in transition there from Ivanovic to put O'Doherty into a good situation.
Corner work back for Devlin. Looking to hang it up, but Wilkinson is at that back post for Sydney. Devlin again. Quick feet for Aidan O'Neill to fire it across, but too strong, way too strong from Melbourne City's new signing. Barbarouses. Caceres assessing his options. There's a bit of room wide left for Van der Sar, but he ignores that option. Barbarouses. Devlin's intervention. Oh, that's a bit careless from Ivanovic. Zavella. Harry Van der Sar trying to bend it into that top corner. Very difficult to execute. Aidan O'Neill to get the Olyroos moving again. Nice flat release for Russell. Not the best return though from the Western Sydney Wanderer. Laws, accurate enough for Ivanovic, who has time and the presence of mind to turn. It's Jordan O'Doherty. Outside him is Russell. Again, they're queuing up. What about the cross? It's too close to Heward Bell. Another chance goes begging for the Olyroos. They've been in some good positions tonight.
Yeah, and they're the things that Graham will try and take the positives leading into the next match. That some of the pressing moments were excellent. Some of the combination play started to come together and patterns of play that you'd be looking for. Like we said before, it's not as much about the result, although I'll be honest, Arnie competes for everything. He wants to win everything. So he won't be happy about the result, but he'll be more focusing on the good moments in the game to lead the team into the next match.
And as mentioned, he still has a fair bit of quality to come into this squad as well. McGree, Suter, Arzani, D'Agostino. Maybe others such as Dylan Wenzel-Halls as well.
Yeah, I think it's all there for the boys to put their hand up, isn't there? With the matches coming up, season starting again very soon.
Ticking along towards the 90-minute mark. Does Tim Danaskos add any other time on? He didn't in the first half. And we'll keep going. We've had quite a few substitutions, of course, so maybe a bit of time to be added on. Well, not that much. 10 seconds to be precise. And that will do. An entertaining night. Sydney FC convincing winners by 3-0. They pick up where they left off in August. A win to take them to Doha, where the Champions League challenge awaits the Olyroos. They made some defensive mistakes in those opening 20 minutes, which allowed Sydney to pull away goals from Palaretre and Trent Bahaja and then Alexander Baum-Johan. But they found some rhythm, found some cohesion. All they were missing really was a goal. So it finishes the Olyroos 0, Sydney FC 3. Trevor, your assessment?
Look, I just think these games are necessary. It just highlights the fact that we've had a very disrupted season. Every extra opportunity to play a match is valuable to all players. And I think it's a great cooperation between club and country to pull these matches together today and next week. Obviously, I've already highlighted the positive things. I think they'll be taking the next game for an improved performance.
And pretty much everybody got some minutes in their legs, pretty much on both sides. So that's a positive as well. So that is us from Jubilee Stadium. We wish Graham Arnold and his team well against Macarthur FC in their next challenge. That'll be live on the FFA social channels as well next Tuesday. And of course, we wish Sydney FC all the very best as they head off to Qatar to resume their Asian Champions League campaign, their first game against Shanghai SIPG on November the 19th. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed our coverage from Kogarah, from myself, Simon Hill, from Trevor Morgan, and from all the production team. It's a very good night to you.